My dear listener, observe this Big Mac not as a mere culinary invention, but as a manifestation of the human psyche, compressed between two soft pieces of bread. When you lift this hamburger to your lips, you are not simply preparing to eat. You are reenacting a profound psychological drama that has existed within mankind since the dawn of consciousness. The longing you feel, that subtle pull of anticipation, is not hunger for food alone. It's the ancient impulse for immediate pleasure, the same desire that drove our primitive ancestors to reach for the fruit they were forbidden to taste. Between these two buns lies a symbolic battlefield where human desire exposes itself without shame. Notice how the Big Mac invites you, almost seduces you, the warmth, the layered abundance, the promise of satisfaction now, not later. In this moment, the id whispers to you insistently, reminding you that life is fleeting and pleasure should never be postponed. And so, with every bite, you attempt, desperately, instinctively, to fill a void you cannot name. A void that no meal, no matter how indulgent, can ever truly conquer. But look closer, two patties stacked one above the other. Is this not the perfect metaphor for the multiplicity of human longing? One layer represents the desires we allow ourselves to acknowledge: hunger, comfort, pleasure. The other layer represents the desires we prefer to hide: longing for affection, recognition, escape from the burdens of daily life. And yet both layers coexist, pressed tightly together, begging to be tasted at the same time. In this duality, the Big Mac mirrors our inner contradictions, our conflicted cravings that rarely agree but always coexist. The instant gratification of biting into this hamburger is momentary, lasting perhaps 30 minutes before dissolving into a return of the same emptiness it sought to soothe. And so, we learn a painful truth. Humans do not eat to be satisfied. Humans eat to chase the illusion of satisfaction. What you seek in this Big Mac is not nourishment. It is relief. Relief from restlessness, from boredom, from the ceaseless tension between who you are and who you wish to be. Thus, my friend, the Big Mac is more than a product. It is a confession that we are creatures driven by desire, endlessly searching for fulfillment in places where it can be tasted, but never kept. And so you bite again and again and again, hoping that this time the pleasure might linger just a little longer. Now let us turn our attention to what many consider the true soul of the Big Mac, the so-called secret sauce. To the untrained eye, it is merely a condiment, creamy, tangy, pleasantly mysterious. But to me, this sauce represents something far deeper, the vast, shadowed expanse of the unconscious. It is the element that gives flavor to our existence, yet remains stubbornly concealed from our direct understanding. Consider for a moment how people speak of the secret sauce. They describe it with curiosity, reverence, even a hint of obsession. But when asked what it truly contains, most cannot say. They shrug, they speculate, they guess. And in this incapacity to define what they enjoy so intensely, I see a reflection of the human condition itself. For we, too, carry within us a mixture of impulses, fears, forbidden wishes, and forgotten memories, a blend so intricate that we rarely dare to name it. This sauce, hidden between layers of bread and meat, is like the unconscious material hidden beneath the layers of our waking mind. Its presence influences our every experience, not overtly, but through subtle hints, invisible aromas, and emotional aftertastes. You do not see it at first glance, but you feel it, you sense it, you respond to it. Such is the nature of the unconscious, powerful, silent, and omnipresent. Notice also how the sauce is spread, not in a single concentrated spot, but gently, almost strategically, across the structure of the burger. Just as the unconscious distributes itself throughout our daily life, affecting our behaviors, our choices, our desires, without ever revealing itself fully. You taste it only when it escapes from the edges, when it touches your tongue unexpectedly, much like those moments when your unconscious spills into consciousness through dreams, slips of the tongue, or sudden, unexplainable emotions. Yet, we cling to the idea that the recipe is secret, mysterious, untouchable, sacred. Why? Because we fear what transparency might reveal. To know exactly what lies within this sauce would be, symbolically, to confront the truth of who we are beneath our polite surface. And humans, my friend, are not eager to uncover their own private ingredients. We prefer the comfort of mystery over the discomfort of self-knowledge. Thus, the secret sauce of the Big Mac stands as a symbol, a reminder that much of what gives flavor to our lives remains hidden from view, and often hidden from ourselves. We savor it without understanding it, and perhaps we choose it precisely for that reason. Now, my friend, direct your gaze toward the two iconic patties that stand at the core of the Big Mac. To the ordinary consumer, this is merely a double layer of meat. To me, however, it is a portrait of the human psyche, a culinary reflection of the eternal struggle between the id and the superego. These two patties, pressed one above the other, do not coexist peacefully. They grind, they push, they assert their presence just as our inner forces clash in the theater of the mind. The id, wild and primitive, is the lower patty, always closest to instinct, heat, and hunger. It represents the raw impulse to devour, to seek gratification without hesitation or restraint. This patty whispers, indulge yourself, take the bite. You deserve pleasure now. It is the layer that fuels your cravings, that quickens your heartbeat when the aroma drifts through the air. The Big Mac's lower patty is a reminder that within each of us lives an animalic insistence on desire. Above it lies the superego, symbolized by the upper patty, heavier, more imposing, yet constrained by rules, expectations, and the weight of social judgment. This layer says, be civil, control yourself, do not give in too easily. It represents everything society has taught you: to eat modestly, to behave properly, to resist indulgence. While the id heats your appetite, the superego cools it with guilt, order, and an often unattainable demand for perfection. But between these two adversaries, melting slowly and helplessly, lies the cheese, that fragile mediator, so delicate in its attempt to create harmony. This cheese, soft and vulnerable, represents the ego, trying desperately to reconcile the conflicting demands of impulse and morality. It stretches, bends, softens, and sometimes breaks as it attempts to hold the psyche together. When it melts just right, the bite feels balanced. When it fails, everything collapses into a mess. Just like our emotions when the ego can no longer mediate our internal war. Observe how the cheese clings to both patties, refusing to choose a side. This is the ego's burden, to satisfy the id without provoking the wrath of the superego, and to obey the superego without suffocating the primal hunger of the id. The Big Mac dramatizes this inner conflict with delicious clarity. You can taste the tension in every layer, every flavor negotiating with the next, seeking some impossible equilibrium. And yet, despite the conflict, you continue to eat. You take another bite, hoping the balance will improve, hoping the ego will hold everything in place. But like life itself, the harmony is temporary. The pleasure is brief. The conflict returns, and you, human as ever, return with it. And now, as we reach the final layer of our examination, we must confront the most revealing truth of all. The Big Mac, though iconic and indulgent, never truly satisfies. You may take the last bite with a sense of triumph, a brief illusion of fullness, a fleeting conviction that your craving has been conquered. Yet within minutes, something stirs once more. A restlessness, a return of appetite, a subtle whisper from within that says you will want again. This, my friend, is not a flaw of the sandwich, it is a feature of the human psyche. For we do not seek satiation, we seek the pursuit of satiation. The Big Mac becomes a perfect metaphor for our internal landscape, full of promises, layered with pleasures, but incapable of granting permanent fulfillment. We chase its flavor the way we chase love, success, recognition, comfort, with passion, with hope, and with the secret knowledge that the satisfaction will evaporate as soon as it is tasted. The pleasure you feel as you lift the burger, the excitement of the wrapper crinkling beneath your fingers, the first warm aroma rising toward your face. All of this is the seduction of desire itself. But pleasure is a trickster. It blooms quickly and dies just as fast. The Big Mac, like every object of desire, offers a mirage of completion that collapses the moment you reach it. You finish the meal, but the hunger, symbolic and literal, remains alive. It waits patiently for its next opportunity. This cycle is central to the human condition. Desire rises, is momentarily calmed, then rises anew. It does not matter whether we seek food, affection, approval, or meaning. The pattern repeats endlessly because the psyche is structured not to arrive, but to long. And so, after that final bite, you may lean back and sigh, believing for an instant that you are complete. But the psyche is not fooled. It knows that life continues. Desire continues. The drive that propels you, the pleasure principle, always returns. Even the convenience of the drive-through symbolizes this perpetual loop. You finish your meal, you drive away, and yet the path back is always open, always familiar, always waiting. The illuminated golden arches glow like a beacon of recurring temptation. You tell yourself you are satisfied, yet the unconscious registers another lesson. You can come back any time, and indeed you will. Thus the Big Mac represents not fullness, but the eternal human pursuit of fullness. It is an edible reminder that desire is never extinguished, only paused. Each meal, each pleasure, each attempt to fill the void is temporary by nature. And this is not tragic. It is simply what it means to be alive. To desire is to exist. To hunger is to feel. To pursue satisfaction is to acknowledge the restlessness that defines the human soul. And so, my friend, the Big Mac does not disappoint you. It reveals you. It shows you that you are a creature of longing, and that longing, not fulfillment, is the true engine of your life. If you found meaning in this analysis, do not repress your impulses. Give this video a like and subscribe to the channel. Even the unconscious enjoys good company. Return here whenever your curiosity hungers again.